good? And welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Wrestling with Fans podcast. We are a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for fans from a fan's perspective. My name is Kyle. This is episode 151. I don't have a catchy title for it, but I'll come up with something by the time you hear the audio version of this show. We are live streaming on the Wrestling with Fans YouTube channel. So if you're in here live, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Give the video a thumbs up. Calling an audible. I had something cool planned for tonight's show, but we're going to save that for next week because WWE's financial conference call just ended a little while ago. So we're going to run down some numbers. So for all you numbers guys and gals out there, we're going to go over some numbers. Because I've got all the stats from the conference call a little while ago. Before we dive into that, let me just remind you guys, facebook.com/wrestling with fans. Hulk smash the like button to keep up to date with everything we do here at Wrestling with Fans. If you're watching live on YouTube, you're probably already subscribed. But if you're listening to the audio version of this show, make sure you head over to youtube.com, search Wrestling with Fans podcast, click the blue logo, and then click that subscribe button. Join us on YouTube. We have a lot of fun. We have a great community building here on YouTube. We're on the push to 100 subscribers. We are at 75 right now. We got a cool figure giveaway when we hit 100. So if you are listening to the audio version, we know we have a couple hundred downloads every single week. So if you're listening to the audio version, subscribe on YouTube. It just helps us out a lot. Helps us in the YouTube algorithm. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at Wrestling with Fans. Check us out on the web, wrestlingwithfans.com. New audio shows are posted every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. So kick your weekend off right with Wrestling with Fans. Or you can take us on the go, download us to your favorite podcast listening device. We are on all the major podcasting platforms. You can find us by searching Wrestling with Fans Podcast. We're on Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, anywhere you get your podcast fix. You can find Wrestling with Fans. And finally, the email, wwfshow@gmail.com. So what is going on, everyone? Hope you guys are having a fun week so far. And as I mentioned, again, we're doing a giveaway at 100 subscribers for this Kevin Owens figure. Elite Series 80 Kevin Owens. Stun Owens Stun. But I want to show off something I picked up the other day. So for you audio listeners, this is why you need to subscribe on YouTube and watch the live stream. Join us live every week. It's fun. Went to work, left for work early, working my second job. Stopped in at my local Walmart, walked over to their collectible section. There were no Ninja Turtles, unfortunately. I was looking for some of those NECA Ninja Turtles. But I did come across this bad boy right here. Got the brand new WWE Funko Pops. Got Drew McIntyre. And also found, what up, Mach? Oh, yeah, it's the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Oh, yeah. There are two. I did find the yellow. I didn't find the pink variant of this, but I do have the Mach. So what up, Mach? Found those at Walmart the other morning. Real happy to find them. Didn't find the Mankind Rock 2-pack. I do have the Stone Cold and Rock 2-pack already. I've shown that off on the stream before. Still on the hunt for that Mankind Rock 2-pack. I know I'll find it at some point. All right, let me pull up all this stuff here. Got a lot of news to talk about. First thing I want to touch on, just real quick here at the top of the show, just would like to send our congratulations to former Raw Women's Champion, Ronda Rousey. I almost said her name wrong. Ronda Rousey and Travis Brown, Ronda announced that she is pregnant with the couple's first child and is due at the end of September. So congratulations to the happy couple. After Ronda's match at WrestleMania 35, the triple threat with Becky and Charlotte, she had mentioned she was taking a break from wrestling and potentially wanted to have a child, start a family. And here we are 2 years later, and now the couple is expecting their first child. So congratulations to the happy couple. This next story, this is going to be a follow-up to last week. I don't know if I can, let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, let me pull this up. For all you video watchers, for everybody here live on YouTube. So Mickie James tweeted out a little while ago. She got her care package from WWE. Hey, Power Gaming. Welcome to the live stream, my friend. So Mickie James tweeted out that she received her care package from WWE. If you're watching the live stream on YouTube, you can see it is a trash bag with her name written on a piece of tape. So apparently they sent Mickie all of the stuff that they still had. But instead of packaging it up nice, it's like it's boxed and then a trash bag inside of it. Now, if you remember last week's show, I was very adamant on how WWE's treatment of some of the superstars. And that's where this show was going to go. But we're going to save that for next week. I've got a fun show planned. But we're going to talk about some financial reports tonight. But the fact that they sent her what stuff might have been left at the Thunderdome, any of her belongings. But instead of packaging it nice, they put it all in a trash bag and then boxed it up. Power Gaming, I wish I had a good answer for that, but I don't. This is WWE we're talking about. I'm very curious to know if any of the other recently released superstars from last week also received a similar care package. And you see a reply there from Gail Kim Irvine. That's from her drawer. So I'm guessing this is the stuff that she had there, her drawer with some of her belongings, and then they just trash bagged it up, threw it in a box, and sent it on its way. I mean, they could have done, they could have packed everything nice and neat, put some bubble wrap or packing paper, anything that shows a little bit of respect for her stuff. To me, that is just kind of an ignorant slap in the face. I think that's very disrespectful to just put stuff in a trash bag and send it out. I don't get it, but it is what it is. This is WWE we're talking about. So it's kind of hard to tell what you're going to get from these guys. A couple other little quick tidbits here, and then we're going to dive into the financial report. Big shout out to Natalya, to Natty Neidhart, for being the one who pushed hard for the women's tag team turmoil match to be included at WrestleMania. If you remember back about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had talked about the tag team turmoil match was going to take place on SmackDown before WrestleMania, and the winner facing the tag champs on the WrestleMania card itself. However, Natalya, being the veteran that she is, reportedly pushed hard to get the tag team turmoil match included on the main WrestleMania card, just to give the women a little bit more spotlight on the show of shows. Congratulations, Natty, for getting that. Even though the match wasn't the best, it was like nip slip botchamania on that match. But the fact that they were able to be showcased, and Natalya and Tamina ended up going on to win. Back to the chat here. Power Gaming, why did they release Mickie James? She was like one of the best, right? Power Gaming, the rumor and innuendo, the reports we're getting from all the internet, from the dirt sheets, is that it was a cost-cutting measure. It was budgetary savings. They're trying to save some money. which is a great segue into what we're going to talk about, the main topic of the show tonight, and that is the financial report, the Q1 financial report. They just had this conference call. It just ended a little while ago. Because when we hear these numbers, I'm seeing these numbers for the first time. I've not had a chance to fully dive into these numbers. But just the headlines, the fact that they were cutting cost at the end of Q1 is a little bit ridiculous. Yes, Power Game. Vince is $1 billion man and he needs money. Apparently he needs another yacht or something. I don't get it. Hey, Salome, welcome to the stream, my friend. Again, if you're listening to the audio version of this show after the fact, the fun is here on YouTube on the live streams every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Link to the YouTube channel is in the audio description of this show. But let's break down some numbers, guys. Let's look at the numbers. Okay. First number we're going to look at, $263.5 million. That is the Q1 revenue, the first quarter revenue for WWE this year, $263.5 million, which is actually down 9% from last year. Now, they also did not have any live shows aside from WrestleMania, and no dirty Saudi blood money show to speak of as well. So even without all of that, WWE was only down 9% from last year. It's kind of crazy to think about. And they still just released a bunch of talent to save some money. Despite the dip, operating income increased by 22% to $65.1 million compared to last year. In both cases, they noted, quote, the upfront revenue recognition related to the delivery of certain WWE Network intellectual property rights as beneficial, which was from NBC Universal, as noted in their SEC filings. So the majority of this money that's coming in is from their NBC Universal partnership with Peacock. So that's where a big chunk of this revenue is coming from. Otherwise, they probably would have fallen on a little bit more. It says here a couple other notes. Again, I pulled this article off of Figure 4 Online. See, Salome says here, Vince is $1 billion man. He has trash bags that look like $100 bills and has napkins made that looks like dollar bill, and he has a bed made of gold shaped like a wrestling ring. Salome, I would love to imagine that Vince McMahon has a gold-plated wrestling ring bed. That would be amazing. I'd totally be down to see that. Now, the WWE stock, somewhat of an unrelated number, was down 1.26% to $56.22 a share. If you remember about a little over a year ago, we were talking about, it was like December 2019, WWE stock was hovering around $100. So their stock value has dropped significantly over that period. However, they are still raking in money hand over fist. So that's just the big number. So let's look at some of the actual notes. This is so on the call featured Vince McMahon, Nick Khan, Christina Salen, Michael White, and Stephanie McMahon. So the first thing is from Vince here. It says, Vince said the pandemic allowed them to open the, quote, WWE treasure chest. He also said the current team is the best management team in WWE history. Then it says Nick Khan talked about recent sports media deals and how they continue to go up in revenue. He opined that separating linear and streaming rights with regard to pro sports appear to be over for now. Khan also said they are going to pursue WWE Network licensing deals in other countries. Also noted a 30% increase in viewership in China and touted how strong they are doing in India and the UK. And Salome says, depicted in story for Bubba Ray, his bed looks like a wrestling ring. I'm going to get a wrestling ring bed. Actually, Jen and I, we kind of jokingly talked about whenever we get married, our altar will be a wrestling ring. It'll have ropes on three sides. It'll be open on the front, so we can get up and in. But we actually kind of joked that we're gonna build a wrestling ring altar to get married in. That would be fun. I'd be cool with that. Couple more notes here. Khan noted they have signed a deal with Crunchyroll for an anime series touted how strong Young Rock has been, and that the Steve Austin A&E biography did the highest number for the network in 16 years. WWE Hidden Treasures retained 79% of that audience. If you guys have not checked out the A&E documentary on Stone Cold Steve Austin, when this stream is over, you can head over to ane.com and you can watch it for free on their website. I would also highly recommend watching the Hidden Treasures. The first episode follows Mick Foley as he goes around and tries to get back some of his memorabilia over the years. Some of the original Mankind shirts, an original Mr. Sacco, things like that. It's a real fun episode to watch. And some of the names in this video and also in the episodes coming up, I know a lot of these people from various, Facebook groups that I'm in that, for figure buying and selling and trading and things like that. I know a lot of these guys in some of the wrestling groups that have seen pictures of their collections before. So it's really cool that a lot of fans, like hardcore collector fans, are going to be able to get the spotlight and show off some of their cool stuff in this series. So if you haven't checked it out on A&E, you can head over to ane.com or whatever their website is and check out both of those shows. They're both really fun to watch. I still have not checked out Young Rock yet. I need to get on that. I honestly just have not had the time. But I did. That is on my watch list coming up soon. And then Christina Salen said they will be in the Thunderdome through the end of June and don't expect to return to live event touring until the second half of the year. When they do, they want it to be in full and not a split with the Thunderdome. So that right there is some big news. This is some news we've been waiting to hear for quite a while. When will WWE go back to having live fans? AEW has been doing it for the majority of this global pandemic for the last year, slowly increasing the number of fans in attendance there at Daly's Place. They are also planning to start live touring at the end of 2021. So that's big, including house shows, I believe, which is kind of nice. So it won't just be the weekly Dynamite. They'll be doing house shows, be doing the loops. So keep on the lookout for WWE and AEW coming to a town near you later this year. This is here from Stephanie McMahon. She said she brought in or retained 14 sponsors for WrestleMania 37, which was the most viewed live event in Peacock's young history, but we did not get specific numbers. So that was the real question coming out of WrestleMania. Both nights were, in fact, a sellout. Reportedly, I was watching Figure 4 online. Brian Alvarez was talking the other day that while they didn't sell out 25,000 each night, I think they initially put up 20,000 tickets per night. And then they also opened up some select seats the day of each show for walk-up viewers. So whatever tickets were available were all bought. It wasn't a full house because people are thinking that a lot of the tickets were bought up by ticket brokers, the secondhand, so they can be resold on the secondhand market. And not every one of those tickets, were actually sold to another person or they weren't used. So that's why there were some empty seats. However, every ticket that was made available for WrestleMania 37 was sold. So even during a global pandemic and moving to 2 nights, WWE selling out both nights of WrestleMania. And some people were kind of critical because they were saying, well, there was empty seats. Doesn't matter. The tickets were bought. WWE got their money for their tickets. The person doesn't show up, that's on them, not on WWE. They sold out both nights. So kudos to WWE for a double sellout for WrestleMania. Nick Khan also goes on to say that the NFTs will continue, and because they own the majority of their intellectual property, they're going to be heavy into it and have a plan they're excited about. Now, I had no idea what NFTs were until I heard they were being made available for WrestleMania. But again, WWE is smart. They own almost all of their IPs between wrestler names, gimmick names, match names. They own the majority of the intellectual property under WWE, which is why their licensing deals is where they get a lot of their money. All right, we'll take a quick pause from this. We'll answer a question from the chat. Power Gaming says, in your opinion, in the next Hall of Fame, who would you want to go in? That is a loaded question, Power Gaming, and it's not a simple answer. My A1 first answer, but unfortunately, if you've watched Dark Side of the Ring Season 2, you know this will never happen. Owen Hart. Owen Hart would be my number one choice for the Hall of Fame. Even though his widow, Martha, and kids have said that they will not entertain the thought of Owen going into the WWE Hall of Fame after the tragedy that happened all the way back in 1999. That aside, there's a lot of names you could put in the Hall of Fame. I mean, an easy one to say, that's The Undertaker. I mean, Kane went in this year. Undertaker now is officially retired, so The Undertaker will go into the Hall of Fame when he wants to go into the Hall of Fame. If he wants to go in next year, he'll go in next year. If he wants to wait 2 or 3 years, WWE will give him that honor whenever he wants. And I'm trying to draw inspiration by looking at some of my figures, and it's kind of hard, but I guess, Owen Hart, but we got to take that out. Undertaker. I'd love to see Undertaker headline, Hall of Fame, but I think it all depends to Power Gaming on whether or not fans will be in attendance. I think the first Hall of Fame ceremony where fans are back in attendance in full force, like in previous years, The Undertaker will headline that event. But they may push it off a year depending on what Batista's status is. Batista was supposed to headline this year, but due to, the rescheduling of the Hall of Fame and previous commitments, Batista had to hold off on his Hall of Fame induction this year. Hopefully next year. So if Batista is good to go next year, then they'll probably push Undertaker back a year. But Undertaker, he is my favorite all-time professional wrestler. He would be my second pick, really, to be into the Hall of Fame. Salome says here, I got something for a 20 sub celebration. Awesome, Salome. I'll post some links here later on for you guys. For anybody in the chat who's not subbed to each other, I'll post some links. Power Gaming, I'm going to get a link to your channel. I'll post that because I appreciate you being in the chat. I always try to help out all of the viewers. If you got a YouTube channel, I try to shout you out to everybody else in the audience so they can check out your content as well. It's all about spreading the love here at Wrestling with Fans. Okay, let's see. Where did I leave off? All right, here we go. Stephanie McMahon says that Bad Bunny's Raw appearances helped increase 31% with the Hispanic demo, which I think is off the jump something WWE wanted. I had no idea who Bad Bunny was aside from the Corona commercials with Snoop Dogg. I had no idea who Bad Bunny was. I just seen him in these commercials. There you go, Chris. Vader, Bundy, Bam Bam, Demolition. Demolition needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Thank you, Chris. I was just drawing a blank. I was looking at my figures above me, and most of the ones that I have above me that aren't in the Hall of Fame probably don't deserve to go in there. All right. Let's see. Multiple references were made to a large-scale international event, which indicates a return to Saudi Arabia. So it looks like we'll be getting some more of that Saudi blood money shows. Dirty Saudi Blood Money 3 or 4, whichever one we're on. I don't know what event they'll be. But again, the partnership with Saudi was supposed to have been for 2 shows per year. They did not get any shows off last year, so I don't know if they'll increase to 3 over the next couple years to catch up, or if they'll do 4 this year to catch up. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of these Saudi blood money shows, and for all intents and purposes, the wrestlers aren't fans of them either. I get WWE made a business decision, and they're getting a lot of money to go to Saudi Arabia, but it's just not beneficial in the eyes of their fan base. But that's another story for another time. Back to the notes here. Khan said they and Peacock will both sell sponsorships and that the launch was the primary focus. Now it's further monetizing it. Interesting there. It goes on to say, Khan says that viewership numbers, quote, are robust and that linear content, quote, is a challenge for everyone. He said fans are the fourth wall and we know immediately what's working and what's not working. I wish that quote went covered storylines as well, but that's another story for another time. It says here, when asked about WrestleMania numbers on Peacock, Khan said they asked him not to disclose numbers, but then you wake up after 2 successful nights to phone calls, emails, and texts from NBCU and Peacock executives. It means they are thrilled. But again, I don't know. They're not releasing the numbers. I don't know why. But apparently, again, for all intents and purposes, and according to this, NBC, Universal, and Peacock, the bigwigs there, are very happy with the numbers that WrestleMania did this year. Goes on to say here, when asked about AEW and moving NXT to Tuesdays, Khan said, quote, everything is competition, and attracting eyeballs to their content is what they are focused on. They believe NBC and NHL would part ways, so moving to Tuesdays had nothing to do with them. And that's interesting. That's an interesting note. When the move was announced, as soon as they announced that they were shutting down NBC Sports and that the Wednesday night hockey games will be moving to USA, that seemed like the perfect reason to move NXT to Tuesdays. However, according to this had nothing to do with it. Now, the NHL is partnering with ESPN, which I don't understand because when ESPN did have the NHL, they didn't promote them. And even now when they don't have the NHL, they might get a 30-second segment on SportsCenter covering all 8 hockey games. You might get like 5 seconds of highlights. That's why I watch the NHL Network, because they actually cover in-depth on hockey. Because ESPN, they love sucking the dick of the NBA. They love sucking the dick of the NFL. They love sucking the dick of Major League Baseball, but they've never shown any love to hockey. Granted, hockey is definitely the least watched of those 4 sports. However, the hockey fan base is probably more passionate than all the other 3 combined. So, but that's another story for another time. It says here, they caution the caller about their Q2 numbers year over year because last year they ran in the Performance Center versus this year they'll be running in the Thunderdome. So I'm not sure if they're predicting a fall in numbers or what. And then Khan follows up with, they are bullish on live events, especially as related to merchandise. So that's some of the numbers there. Got another note here. This article is from Cage Side Seats. It says here, covers the beginning of the year through. Okay, so these numbers that I've been talking about cover January 1st through March 31st. Their net income of $43.8 million, more than doubled analyst expectations, which estimated the income to be more like $18 million, so they beat the expectations by 26. Well, it also helps. Well, I guess the release wrestlers won't count because they were released in April. These numbers cut off at March 31. This also doesn't include any WrestleMania numbers since that took place in April as well. But the big deal with Peacock starting, those numbers should probably, or some of the things that filtered in, there's a lot more numbers and a lot more stuff to go into it, but we won't dive too much into numbers and kind of geek out too much here. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Let's see what else we got. Trying to find other news not related to this. let's look at oh, here we go. Here's an interesting article. Just pulled this up. Adnan Virk, the new head of the Raw commentator team, just did an episode of the Sports Illustrated Media podcast. Says here, Virk detailed how he got hired by WWE. He says here, the way it went down was Nick Khan was my longtime agent at CAA, and of course, he's now the president of WWE. This is a relationship business, so you have a good relationship with somebody that means something. And when Nick left, I spoke to him and thanked him for all he did for me and my family. I'll always be so grateful to Nick and his stewardship and mentorship. And I said something to the effect of, hey, if there's anything for me, let me know. And he was like, yeah, okay, sure. Never thinking it would come to fruition. And my understanding is that WWE Brain Trust wanted a new voice, wanting something different. And Michael Cole, in addition to being the voice of SmackDown, is obviously a part of that Brain Trust. And he was talking with my agent, Matt Olson, who in many ways is Nick's protege, and said, okay, who's a guy on your roster you think might be able to do this? He goes, what about Adnan? That's intriguing. Has he done anything like this? So they sent some stuff. I called up Boxing at DAZN. And then I went up to the audition. It's one thing to say there's mutual interest. It's another to actually get the job. I called a few matches and everything seemed to work out. And then they actually called and said, you got the job. I was floored. It says here, I told 5 people. I auditioned February 5th. And they told me end of February, you got the job. And then I had to get MLB to sign off in March. That took some time. The quarantining, the vaccinations. I told my parents, my brother, my wife, and one of my kids. I have 4 kids. I told one of them, you can't breathe a word to it in the business. That's pretty wild. I honestly have not been a big fan of Adnan Virk in his first 2 weeks. I've heard he is very good at doing baseball. But baseball and professional wrestling are 2 different monsters. And he has been carried pretty heavily through the first 2 weeks by Corey Graves and Byron Saxton. And I'm not saying I could do any better. I'll just, before anybody watching live on YouTube or anybody listening to the audio version, well, you couldn't do any better. I'm not saying I can. But if the only prep he had was calling a few matches during an audition, he's not doing very good. He's, in baseball, it's a completely different monster. You're calling pitches, you're calling, just simple play-by-play stuff. But in professional wrestling, it's nonstop. You have to, play off of your cohorts at the table. You're getting, Vince or Kevin Dunn or Bruce Pritchard, whoever, in your ears. It's a lot to take in. You have all the corporate buzzwords you have to continuously say, and he's not done the best of jobs in his first 2 weeks. I'm not saying he needs to go, but maybe having him call some stuff on Main Event or 205 Live for a little while just to get used to the lay of the land, so to speak, might have been beneficial. But that's just my opinion. Let's look at some TV numbers. I'm gonna look. I haven't seen the Dynamite numbers for this week, but the AEW, or excuse me, the NXT numbers came in, and they are up 4.5% from last week, drawing in 841,000 viewers on the USA Network, according to Show Buzz Daily. They were at 805,000 viewers last week, their first Tuesday night episode. So this increase could just be people now remembering that they are going live on Tuesdays as opposed to Wednesdays. And this is still up from the consistent 600 to 650,000 viewers they were averaging there for a while, going head to head with Dynamite. So again, they moved to a moved to a 2-night, and they increased by 150, 200,000 viewers in their first 2 weeks. That should tell you something. Let me see if the Dynamite numbers are out. I don't know if they have been released. Yes, they have been. Okay, here we go. Dynamite for the second week in a row, drawing in over 1 million viewers. Last week they did a huge number, 1.219 million viewers. This week it is slightly down, about 115,000, drawing in 1.104 million viewers. It is down slightly in the 18 to 49 demo. Last week drew in a big 0.44. This week coming in at 0.37. So again, who won the Wednesday Night War, guys? The fans won. Because now you don't have to pick and choose. Both shows in the 2 weeks since the separation, their viewership has gone up. Both of them have gone up. I'm really interested to see where Dynamite's ratings come in 3 and 4 weeks from now, a month out, 2 months out from the switch. Some people were speculating that the big number last week had to do with people tuning in to watch NXT on Wednesdays, realizing it wasn't on. Oh, hey, here's this AEW thing. Maybe we'll watch this instead. But they still held strong, still pulling in over 1.1 million viewers. 1.104 million viewers for Dynamite this week. So again, another big number, 2 weeks in a row, drawing in over 1 million viewers. That is really awesome. I love seeing that kind of stuff. And they've been averaging roughly 700 to 800,000 viewers each week. Just for comparison, we'll just go back in the previous 4 weeks, the last 4 weeks of the Wednesday Night War, starting on March 17th. AEW did 768,000. March 24th, 757,000. March 31st, 700,000. And April 7th, 688,000. Then last week, the 14th of April, 1.2 million. And this week, the 21st, 1.1 million. Chris, to me, the fans won. Now I don't have to choose on Wednesdays which wrestling I watch. I watch AEW on Wednesday. I watch NXT on Tuesday. But yes, you could make the argument. You could also make the case that NXT, when they move nights, their ratings go up too. You can make the case. Power Gaming asks, what is your favorite WrestleMania? That is a wonderful question. WrestleMania 17 is hard to top. Top to bottom, WrestleMania 17 was just an amazing show. I mean, you could also throw out like a WrestleMania 3 is up there for me. WrestleMania 13 was really good. WrestleMania 25 is up there. WrestleMania 30, even though The Undertaker lost. They told a great story with Triple H and Daniel Bryan, and then Orton, Batista, and Bryan in the main event. I thought WrestleMania 35 was good, except for it was just so long. But if I had to pick just one, I'd probably say 17. WrestleMania 17 is probably my absolute favorite. Let's see here. Just looking at a couple other news and notes here. Let's see if there's anything else worth really diving into. Batista was talking to Felix Upton at Ringside News and reiterated that he is, in fact, retired. And it's something really fun, again, for Ringside News. The Young Bucks has been updating their Twitter bio. And at one point, the bio read, "We'll be offered an induction into the WWE Hall of Fame in our 60s, but will decline to stay in character." That's pretty good. This is Power Gaming. How about WrestleMania 22 with Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair? Power Game, that was a great WrestleMania, but that match, the Shawn Rick match, was the card to me. That was definitely the card for me. Chris is Dynamite coming for those main show ratings. Let's look. Let's see what Raw did this week. Let's see here. Raw did strong numbers last night with 1.91 million viewers and 0.61 in the 18 to 49 demo. That reminds me. Let me pull up this picture. I'm glad. Thank you for bringing that up, Chris, because that just reminded me of something I saved to talk about. The night after WrestleMania is usually like the biggest night in all of professional wrestling. It usually draws in monster numbers for Raw, and usually brings in, like some big returns, stuff like that. This year's Raw after WrestleMania was probably the weakest of them all. Even ratings wise, it was the lowest Raw after WrestleMania rating in a while. So let's just run down some numbers going all the way back to WrestleMania 32. So this year's Raw after WrestleMania 37 drew in 2.026 million viewers. Last year, the Raw after WrestleMania 36 drew 2.1 million viewers. After WrestleMania 35, after the 37-hour WrestleMania that started on the Tuesday before and ran for 19 consecutive days, ending at about 2 a.m. Monday morning, main evented by the women, Ronda, Charlotte, and Becky. That Raw after Mania did 2.923 million viewers. So they are down over 900,000 viewers for the show after Mania just in the last 2 years. Let's keep going further back. The night after WrestleMania 34, 3.921 million viewers. So they dropped 1 million viewers from WrestleMania 34 to 35, the Raw after Mania. But that 3.921 is an increase from the year prior. The night after WrestleMania 33 saw 3.76 million viewers. And the night after WrestleMania 32, the Raw after WrestleMania drew 4.08 million viewers. So in a matter of 6 years, in the grand scheme of things, that is not a long time. In 6 years, they have lost over half of their viewers. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. The night after WrestleMania 32, Raw did 4.08 million. The night after WrestleMania 37, Raw did 2.026 million. That is not a sad state of affairs for WWE. I don't know what is. But it doesn't matter what the ratings say. I'm honestly under the impression that ratings really don't matter. I just talk about them because people love to talk about them. Because all that really, really matters for WWE, at least in my opinion, this is just my opinion here, is the bottom line. And they're making money hand over fist to spite themselves. They're making money hand over fist. So the ratings can drop all they want. The wrestling pundits can talk about it. The fans can argue about numbers. But at the end of the day, WWE is making money hand over fist. Their TV deals in the last couple of years are for multiple billions of dollars. This just new licensing agreement with Peacock, again, $1 billion deal. They just cut 10 talent a week ago today to save some of that money. But considering who they cut, it's probably not saving a lot in the grand scheme of things. Maybe a couple $1 million in talent. Can't imagine any of those talent were making big bucks in WWE. Maybe $3, $4, $5 million saved a year with those cuts. Power Gamer says here, if WWE want more people to watch them, they need to get rid of PG era and go PG-13 or TV-14. Power Gaming, that is a topic that we could spend the next several hours talking about. By the way, thank you for subscribing, Power Game. I'm just now seeing that notification. Thank you for subscribing. Appreciate that, friend. Which means, guys, we are at 76 subs. We were only 24 subscribers away for that giveaway. My notifications aren't working, so the little counter there on the screen is not updating because for whatever reason my alerts aren't working. I got to work on that. A lot of people want to talk about bringing back the Attitude Era. I don't think you need to bring back the Attitude Era and go like TV 14 or PG 13. I don't think you do. WWE can be successful when it comes to PG. I honestly believe that. They have the talent. It seems like every time you question, people talk about the roster. WWE, every time you talk about it, it's always the most talented roster they've ever had. Because they just hoard talent. But it's not the talent. It's not the television rating, like the TV 14, PG 13, PG. WWE they haven't said it outright, but they might as well at this point. Wins and losses don't matter. The outcomes of the matches don't matter. They are being paid to create content. And I talked about this a little bit last week, and I've talked about it a lot here on the show over the last 3+ years. They are no longer a wrestling company. They are in the business of content creation. No different than what I'm doing. No different what any YouTuber does. No different than what any Twitch streamer does. They are in the business of creating content. They are no longer a wrestling promotion. They are content creators, but their content is sports entertainment. The matches we watch on Raw and NXT is somewhat the exception to this. Because Triple H and company, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg, Jeremy Borash, and I'm not sure who else they have working with NXT at the current moment. But at least Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Road Dogg. They are doing sports entertainment, but they're doing more of a professional wrestling form of sports entertainment, where the storylines make sense. The storylines are coherent. NXT makes me feel like wins and losses actually matter. And at times early on, AEW Dynamite was no better than Raw or SmackDown, but the more I watch and the more I think they've grown in the last year and a half, wins and losses matter on Dynamite too. For the most part, I think there's a few things here and there. Like with NXT, I think there's a few things here and there where it's like, maybe that doesn't make a lot of sense. But overall, the grand scheme of thing in NXT and AEW, wins and losses matter. You have someone, just for an example, this is the first thing that popped into my head. Shayna Baszler. In NXT, Shayna Baszler was an unstoppable wrecking machine. Just whooping everybody all the time. She gets called up to the main roster. And she has a decent little run, has, some title shots, whatnot. They don't do a lot with her. She's been in this tag team with Nia Jax for months. They're the women's tag team champions. However, I think for the last, let me get the exact number. I don't want to misquote this because I think, let me look this up because I know it's not good. Oh, that's not what I want. I want this. I want to get these exact numbers because this is going to just prove my point. Okay. Shayna Baszler. Probably the most legit badass on the women's roster in all of WWE. Lost the last 2 matches via roll-up. You go back to the beginning of April, she lost back-to-back matches on SmackDown and Raw to Naomi and Natalya. She lost to Asuka. She lost to Bianca Belair. She lost to Charlotte Flair. She lost to Charlotte Flair. She lost to Dana Brooke. She lost to Dana Brooke. She lost to Asuka. Lost to Asuka and Lana in a tag match. Lost to Asuka and Lana in a tag match. She is a legit fighter. She could probably beat up every other woman in the entire WWE roster. She is one half of your women's tag team champions. And she is losing on a consistent basis every single week. There's no reason for it. I mean, you shouldn't have someone like that losing consistently. Because you define her down so much that no one's going to take her seriously. And that's where I'm going to kind of stop here. Because this is going to segue into what I was originally going to talk about tonight, but we're saving it for next week. I'm going to do a full roster breakdown. I'm going to break down the roster for Raw and the roster for SmackDown. I'm not going to touch NXT. I'm not going to touch Dynamite. I think they manage their rosters very well. And this is all started because if you look at like AEW Dynamite, on 1 2-hour episode of Dynamite, they have like 60 people are involved in something, whether it be in a match, a backstage segment, at ringside with someone in their team or their faction. It's like 60 or 70 people. On Monday Night Raw, you may see 12. But if you look at the Wikipedia, or even if you look at WWE.com, Raw supposedly has like 50 wrestlers on it, but we see maybe a dozen every week. Same thing on SmackDown. Let's go to the chat here for a minute. Personally, I love WWE, has been a fan since 2015. That is also Power Game. And did I know Ronda Rousey is pregnant? Yes. You may have joined the stream a little after. That was like the first thing I talked about on the show tonight. So you may have missed it. But yes, congratulations again to Ronda and Travis Brown. Power Game, I've been a fan the majority of my life. All my life. At least as far back. And I've talked about this here on the show, but I'll tell it again since you're new to the channel. You know, like people, when you think back in your memory, you have like the first thing you remember. You go back all the way as far back in your childhood as you can remember. What is the first thing you can think of? And then as a wrestling fan, you'll say, well, what was your first wrestling memory? What is your first memory of professional wrestling? Well, for me, it's the same. My earliest childhood memory is my earliest wrestling memory. It was March 30th, 1986. I was 4 years old. I was getting ready to turn 5 years old about a month after. So it's March 30th, 1986. The setting is the old Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. The main event of that card, and I remember it vividly, was Terry and Hoss Funk. Hoss Funk, of course, being Dory Funk Jr. So it was Terry Funk and Dory Funk Jr. versus the Junkyard Dog and Hulk Hogan. And I will never forget the noise. The deafening noise when Hulk Hogan made his entrance. And it was at that moment I realized I'm a wrestling fan for life. I was 4 years old, and I know I had watched wrestling before then, and apparently I'd went to a show even younger than that I don't remember. But going back to 1986, being a 4-year-old at the Capitol Center, I can remember my seat. Like when I close my eyes, I can see the ring down in front of us and the entranceway going off to the left. Like I remember my seats. So I mean, I've been around WWE and watched a long time. And this current era is some of the weakest I've ever seen. And that's where we'll leave the show, because that's going to lead into what I want to talk about next week. We're going to break down the rosters of Raw and SmackDown. We're going to look and see who has been used and who is currently just doing nothing. Because I think you could solve a lot of issues on Raw and SmackDown if you utilize the roster. And to do that, we're also going to have to look at like main event tapings. Because, you know, a lot of guys they tape main event before Raw and SmackDown each week. They tape 2 matches for Raw stars, 2 matches for SmackDown stars. But again, I think you can solve a lot of issues especially when it comes to WWE's obsession with 50-50 booking by utilizing everybody on their roster. But we're going to save that for next week. Before we go, let me just remind you guys, facebook.com/wrestling with fans. Hawk smash that like button to keep up to date with everything we do here at Wrestling with Fans. If you're watching the live stream on YouTube, you already know. Click the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Give the video a thumbs up if you would, please. We are giving away a Kevin Owens figure at 100 subscribers. If you're listening to the audio version of this show after the fact, go to youtube.com, search Wrestling with Fans, click the blue logo, and click that subscribe button, or in the video description, or in the audio description, in the show notes below, there's a link. Click the YouTube link, and it'll take you to the YouTube channel and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram at Wrestling with Fans. Check us out on the web, download or stream the shows at any time at WrestlingWithFans.com. New audio shows are posted every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. We live stream on YouTube every Thursday, and then the audio version is available Saturday. Or you can take us on the go, download us to your favorite podcast listening device. You can get us wherever you get your podcast fix. Just search Wrestling with Fans Podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher Radio. Subscribe to us to get the audio show every week. Leave us a rating, 5 stars if you think we deserve it. Or if you just want to be nice and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. We'd love you for that. And finally, the email to the show is wwfshow@gmail.com. If you're watching Raw on a Monday night, you see something stupid you want us to talk about, shoot us an email at wwfshow@gmail.com. That's wwfshow@gmail.com. I'd love to at some point get to a mailbag segment covering any listener mail. So we'd love to hear from you. Or you can always join us live, join the live chat live on YouTube. We have a lot of fun here. Now, I've completely broken my streaming schedule 5 nights a week. There's going to be a new streaming schedule. I don't know what it is yet. But the podcast will stay on Thursdays. I'm not going to do Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and Dynamite preview shows. The Raw preview show really was the only one that was popular. So I may do a stream on Mondays because that always seemed to be fun. The majority of you all that come on YouTube don't really watch NXT and AEW. So those 2 streams can go away. And SmackDown, we'll see. Maybe we'll do Monday, Thursday, Friday. We'll see. But Thursdays 100% will stay the same for the time being. But we're going to come up with some other fun streams. I won't be streaming 5 nights a week. Maybe 3, maybe 2 or 3 here on YouTube. This one that you're listening to now or watching now will be the official Wrestling with Fans podcast. But we'll do some other streams. I thought about doing just a toy chat, a wrestling figure chat once a week, every other week. Doing a game night, playing some wrestling games. Last Friday, I was streaming on YouTube playing Portal 2. It was a lot of fun. Had a few people in here chatting it up. A lot of fun. So if you're subscribed, click the little icon, set notifications to always, so you're notified anytime a new video goes up or anytime we go live. Speaking of new videos, one just went up on the channel. Literally 30 seconds ago. But I'll talk about that when I'm done the podcast. Which means it is time for me to go. Let me come back in here. Hey, Chewy, welcome to the stream. It never fails. When I say I'm about to go offline here in the next few minutes, usually that's when a cavalcade of people. But welcome to the stream, Chewy. I'm going to end the podcast portion of this show, but we'll stay live for a few minutes after the fact. But that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Wrestling with Fans podcast. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Once again, my name is Kyle. We'll see you next time right here on Wrestling with Fans. TEW Wrestling, welcome to the stream, my friend. Again, I just finished the podcast version of the show. The podcast version is over, but we'll stay live here on YouTube for a little bit longer. Can't stay on too much. I've got to pack. I've got to edit the show so I can get ready to go up Saturday. For those just tuning in, I showed these off early on at the top of the street. And let me do something real quick before I do this. Give me 1 sec here, my good peoples. All right, let's turn that off. Picked this up on a little hunt the other day. Got the brand new Drew McIntyre Funko Pop. Super excited to get this. Power gaming, yes, I do play WWE games. And I'll touch on that. Chris, by the way, what did you order from Rasco's? Did you try their pizza last night? I'd love to know how that went. Can't poop. Yes, the Scottish psychopath. Power game. I do play WWE. I've got 2K20 on my PlayStation 4. I've got 2K Battlegrounds on my PC here. I'm excited for 2K22. I'm hoping we get a good game. But the other Funko Pop that I picked up. What up, Mach? It's the Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh, yeah. Cream of the crop. Yeah. Wrestling with fans. It's the Macho Man. Yeah. So I picked these two up at Walmart the other morning. Power Gaming 2K21. That is an interesting thing. See, what happened was, 2K20 came out, and it was just completely broken. Just completely broken. So many glitches. Just so much crap wrong with the game. It was pretty much unplayable. Part of that is due to the fact that they parted ways with Yuke's. Yuke's is the developer. The studio that developed the game and did the majority of the work. So when they parted ways, 2K had to scramble, and basically all of the assets that Yuke's had created for 2K20, they pulled. So 2K had to scramble, throw together 2K20 together last minute. The game was broken, and as a result, 2K decided to shelf 2K21. That is why we got 2K Battlegrounds last year. They weren't going to be able to have enough together in time to make anything for 2K21. So they completely shelved the 2K series and gave us Battlegrounds in its place. Yeah, TEW says I think they had to cancel the game in general. They had to work on other games. Also having to get 2K 2020 actually working. Yeah, I got 2K20. Trying to think. Christmas time, Black Friday, maybe. I paid half price for it. 2 months after it came out, I paid half price for it. And even at half price, at like $30, I might have overpaid slightly. But by the time I started playing, most of the glitches had been fixed. Not all, but most. My thing is, and this is just an indictment of video games in general, because I say the same thing about I get Call of Duty. Like, I bought Cold War, Black Ops Cold War. I loved it for the first couple months. I bought the Season 2 Battle Pass, and I played like 2 hours and haven't touched it since. A lot of these, they just don't create content. I've had more fun going through the community creations on 2K20 than actually anything else. I think I have the entire current WWE roster and the majority of the current AEW roster. I think I'm actually out of slots. I can't download any more superstars to 2K20. But I thought about doing a 2K20 stream, just playing some 2K, maybe doing like universe mode, playing some 2K20 on stream some night. So we'll see how that goes. TWRS says 2K just rushes games out, works on them at the last minute. I played NBA 2K20 manuals. Yeah, 2K20 TEW was bad. I love NBA 2K. I hate the NBA, but I love NBA 2K. Ask me why. That makes sense. I don't know. I hate watching basketball, but I love basketball video games. I love college basketball. Maryland Terps. Fear the Turtle. But I hate the NBA, but I love NBA video games. I don't know why. I don't know why that. I just love playing basketball video games. Power game, that'd be awesome. Actually, speaking of that, I've actually thought, and I talked about this on a stream before. I'd love to do a community game night. And I thought because I suck at 2K20, like I'm not good at it. Like I mainly like create wrestlers and create stories in universe, but actually physically playing the matches, I usually play on easy because I suck at the game. But I thought about doing a stream one night. Maybe play, and I thought, I mean, it's not a wrestling game, but I thought Among Us. It's not as popular as it once was, but I think a cool stream playing Among Us with the viewers out there and then streaming it to YouTube would be a lot of fun. Because Among Us you can play on PC, you can play it on your mobile phone. It's not on console, unfortunately, but you can play it on PC or your phone. But I'm thinking about doing. I've got a few people in chat have been interested in that, but maybe some kind of game night. We'll talk wrestling, but play some video games. Maybe not a wrestling game, but we'll talk wrestling and play some video games because I do love gaming. I'd love to be able to. I have. How many of you guys ever play Guitar Hero Rock Band? I have Rock Band 4 on PS4. But I have a game. If you've never heard of it, if you have PC, try Clone Hero. It's like a port of every Guitar Hero and Rock Band ever. It's called Clone Hero. I've been playing the heck out of that. TW says, absolutely love NBA 2K. NBA itself, not really. College basketball is where it's at. Yes. Love that. Power Gaming depends on what day it is. I can only play on like weekends. Power Gaming, I'll work 2 jobs and then I come and I stream on YouTube a few nights a week. So yeah, weekends are the only time I have available to. So it'd be on a weekend, maybe like a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. Nothing definite, just gauging some interest. Maybe we'll plan something for later this summer. A fun game night. Wow, with the community here. TW says 90s and early 2000s basketball is awesome. One reason I hate NBA right now is because who's your all-time favorite team, TW? Because I don't even like the team anymore, but growing up, I was a huge New York Knicks fan for one reason only. Patrick Ewing is my all-time favorite player. He played at Georgetown, played for the Knicks. Patrick Ewing is my all-time favorite NBA player. So I was a huge New York Knicks fan growing up. Detroit Pistons, very cool. The Bad Boys. The Bad Boys of basketball. Bill Laimbeer. Joe Dumas. Isaiah Thomas. The Bad Boys. Pistons Bulls rivalry in the 80s are crazy. But yeah, again, I was a diehard New York Knicks fan. Patrick Ewing, John Starks, Charles Oakley, Charlie Ward. I love those mid-90s New York Knicks teams. They never won. That's why Reggie Miller is like my arch nemesis because the Knicks can never beat the Pacers. But yeah, NBA is just, I'm a hockey guy. That is my sport of choice outside of professional wrestling is the NHL. Because I'm a diehard Pittsburgh Penguins fan. I bleed black and gold during hockey. I hate the Steelers. I like the Pirates because I played on the Pirates, when in my Little League. My Little League team was the Pirates. So I kind of have a soft spot for the Pirates. I hate the Steelers, but I'm a diehard Pittsburgh Penguins fan. Let's go Pens. And I think they're actually winning tonight. Let me look. I got to look. Got to check the scores. Check them scores. They are up 5-1. See, they were up. They won 7-6 the other night against the New Jersey Devils, but they were up 6-1 at one point and only won 7-6. Go figure. But guys, the time has come. The podcast has ended. If you haven't checked it out already, let me post this. You guys want something fun to check out? I'm going to end the stream here in just a second. This is the brand new video that went up. It is the NECA Super Shredder. I just posted this. The Ninja Turtle 4-pack should go up tomorrow. It's the Shadow Master NECA Super Shredder. It's my first non-wrestling figure unboxing here on the channel. But I felt like I unboxed it. I felt like I had to put it up. TEW, the next stream will be Monday. There will be no stream tomorrow night. Going away for the weekend. Do a little figure hunting. So there'll be some fig hunt videos. So the next stream will be Monday. Probably between 7 and 7:30. I will have a brand new streaming schedule next week. I've got to finalize some things because my future stepdaughter is playing high school softball. So that's going to take some priority, especially on her games. So I got to move around some of my streams that I wanted to do for now and postpone some others till after softball season. But I will be live on Monday, and I'll have a tentative streaming schedule going forward. But Thursday nights will remain the same, and we'll probably do 1 or 2 other nights. 5 nights a week is too much. 2 or 3 nights is manageable for me. So we'll figure that out. But again, thank you to everybody who's joined in. Let me go back to the beginning of the chat. Power Gaming, thank you. And also thank you for subscribing. Salome, thank you for always being in here, my friend. It's always glad to have you. And congrats again on 20 subs. Chris, my boy, I love you, brother. And TEW Wrestling as well. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the live stream tonight. Awesome Power Game. I can't wait to have you back for another stream again. We'll be live on Monday, probably about 7:30. TEW Wrestling, you have a good night as well. See you guys next time. Right here. Oh, yeah. Hang on. Do one last thing. Subscribe. I made a little stinger transition for subscribe button. Yeah. I'm good like that. You guys have a wonderful evening. If you want to check out the audio show, links to the Facebook, the Instagram, and all that fun stuff are in the video description below. Till then, you guys have a wonderful night. Have a great weekend, because I won't see you guys this weekend. See you next time right here on Wrestling with Fans. Peace.